The original version of this video was uploaded to Jason Verney's YouTube channel, where it and many other videos, podcasts, snippets and films can be found. That channel can be found at youtube.com/Jason Verney.
Yeah. I literally followed you guys last night, but I was like, I need to listen. I need to listen to your podcast.
That's why I had questions, because I was going to ask how you, obviously, anyway, let me
We'll just have a chat.
This is the No So Ko-Po, the Not So Korean podcast with Jay and Tim. I am Jason Verney.
And I am Timothy Home.
In this Not So Korean podcast series, we talk to one another and sometimes special guests about what we know about Korea,
What we don't know about Korea,
what we want to know about Korea,
and occasionally what we don't want to know about Korea.
Recording live from UK's Koreatown itself. That's an area in and around New Malden. Yes, that's the largest Koreatown and Korean community in Europe. We'll start this episode off with a quick summary of the last few days and what we've been up to. So, Tim, what have you been up to?
Well, it's been a little while since we chatted last time, but I haven't been going out too much recently. I did briefly visit the new tea room in New Malden, but we'll talk about that more in an upcoming episode.
Sure.
We're planning to visit there with our friend Hanguk Hapa.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yep. And so aside from that, I just want to briefly mention one of my friends from Korea. She is running a new beauty shop online.
Okay.
And it's open to UK customers now.
Okay.
It's about Korean beauty products or cosmetics. And it's called Jenny World.
Okay.
Jenny World. And so she has an Instagram account and she has a website where she sells these products.
Right.
And so if anyone's interested in K-beauty stuff, you can get, you can help her out by going to that website and ordering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I probably should ask, so how did you, I'm going to be a bit cheeky here, but did you stumble across her stuff because you were looking for that kind of thing yourself? Fair enough.
No, I'm not, not exactly into that kind of thing myself, particularly.
Right.
Although some people have given me some free like whiteners and things, skin products to make me look shinier. But no, I happen to know her from, I don't know, like maybe 7 years ago. We met in Korea through a mutual friend. And actually, you know the guy. I'm trying to remember his name now, though. He was a French guy who was involved with the film stuff that we used to do.
Jerome?
Do you remember him? Not Jerome, no.
Oh, you mean Brice?
Yeah, Bryce, yeah. Was it Bryce or Brice?
Yeah, I know Brice, yeah.
Yeah. So he introduced us to this nice lady named Jenny Choi, or Trey, Jenny.
Okay.
And so anyway, we kept in touch over the years, and she works for Sungkyunkwan University, and I happened to do an exchange at Sungkyunkwan University for a year, and so we got in touch again because of that.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'll just give you the website address.
Oh, we could just put it in the link, couldn't we? Probably.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description, but it's nowinsold.com/store/Jenny World, and that's one word, Jenny World. Okay. Or you can find her on Instagram at ohmybeauty.kr. ohmybeauty, one word, .kr. It's all part of one word.
Okay.
And so Jenny Choi is her name. Yep.
Right. Well, that's the shameless promotion out of the way.
Yeah. So I hope you don't mind, but I thought some of our listeners might be interested in that sort of thing, especially if you know Brazian talks a lot about being Brazian. They talk about a lot about beauty products as well. And we're going to have an interview with them coming up soon as well.
That's right. Yeah, that's interesting. So, well, yeah, seeing as you asked or didn't ask, I've been up to stuff, but actually, I haven't been up to a great load. The last episode we had, which was our first similar one to this, as in it's a Zoom call video episode. So, apologies to anyone, first of all, who's listening to this on audio, and it might sound a bit quirky. We're in the early stages of this, and this is the way we're currently doing the show. So it's video, and it's on, if we might as well call this another shameless promotion, but if you go to YouTube/Jason Verney or Jason K-Town Verney, you'll also find all these podcasts. But if you're listening to it on Spotify, so if you listen to it on Spotify or many other ways, then that's great as well. No, so all it was, as you know from the last episode, or basically we were apart because I had some family issues. Someone in my family passed away. Then I contracted.
Yeah, very sorry to hear about that.
No, that's okay. We've still got the funeral to do yet as well, but it's we knew it was coming, but you can never be ready for the end.
Sure.
But at that time, I then had my birthday, so I stayed with my family during that time, and there was no party, there was nothing like that. We were just in separate houses, and then the coronavirus was doing the rounds with my family, starting off with my 2-year-old nephew, going to my 11-year-old niece, I think, and then myself and my sister, and then another sister in another household, and my mum's family, who also have children at their place. And it was crazy. It was like, and we know why. The schools are reopened now, and also there's no masks enforced anymore. And we're talking secondary schools. So so we're 99% sure that's how this is going. The numbers are going up again. But so I was sitting at my sister's for basically 3 weeks, preparing for a funeral, but also doing, Korean related things when I could. I wasn't always in the mood for it. I just remembered one thing I did catch in the last couple of weeks was this thing run in Sheffield by, you might have seen it advertised by I can't remember what the name of it now. Colette Balmain was involved with it. And it was, it was a Korean.
Was it a conference about South Korean women's cinema?
That's right. Yeah, I don't know if you tuned in or not, but I did. There was a couple of films that were screened, like Little Forest was shown by Lim Soon-ri, and Kanggu Goran, one of her films, which that will bring us to the London Korean Film Festival in a little while, and another film, Crush and Blush. But anyway, that I did kind of tune into a tiny bit of that, not much. I've had the links to see the films, but one thing that did get on my nerves, it is Korean related. While I was at my family, my 2-year-old son, no, let's stop the rumors. My 2-year-old nephew, this program that came out, I think it came out in the pandemic, like last year. And it's called Cocomelon. I'd never heard of it. It's this graphic.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, of course. It's called Cocomelon. So
Cocomelon.
Yeah, COCOMLON. I could probably by top of my head, I could give you the whole graphics, because I've seen it like every single day. It's very repetitive. It has all these songs. Apparently, this couple invented it, and it went onto Netflix, and it's a massive thing. Anyway, it's not the program's not Korean; it's American. But there's a couple of bits on it, and there's a couple of bits where they're showing costumes from around the world, and they're picking up different characters from different countries, and they pick up a girl from Korea, and she's in hanbok. And I took a screenshot of that. I mean, rather, it was on the TV, so I took a photo of it on my phone camera, whatever. But also, and there's also a bit in it where they're at a taekwondo class. So of course you've got the Korean Taeguki flag and all this, but as happy as I was to see something Korean in that, it didn't take away the fact that I was so, not just me, my sister as well, they get so, it's so irritating, every day
Yeah.
it's similar things, and it's just very, but yeah, that was my kind of Korean child,
Experience.
pick my words carefully here, experience, yeah. So yeah,
Right. So did the boy, do you think he enjoyed the program?
yeah, he basically needed it on every day. He needed it. I mean,
Right.
he loved train sets as well, like this brio stuff that you get, this wooden stuff and a train on it. I used to love modern railways when I was younger, but this is, he's into trains. Thomas the Tank Engine, which I'm sure you're aware of. In fact, I know that
Right.
you're a bit of a Beatles fan.
Yeah, sure.
And Ringo Starr was the voice of the original series when I was younger.
Yes, I remember that too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, they-
Funny. Thomas the Tank Engine, right?
yeah, that's right. So it might have been your era too. I mean,
Yeah.
basically, anyway, it's all changed now. They've, but he's got all toys and he's got stuff that are just trains and whatever. But yeah, when he's not doing that, first thing in the morning, he's glued to the TV with his breakfast and watching that. And he can't read yet, but he knows all the words and all the animals and all the things. He doesn't know Korea yet, but
Yeah, obviously he's a bit young for Squid Game at this point, right?
Squid Game, yes, we were going to talk about that in the news section, weren't we? Yeah. Are we going
Yeah,
to?
I mean that's definitely not for children, that show.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's not about
Mm.
farm animals and fish and squid and that.
It is about an animal, but no, not really, no.
No, no, no.
There's
So,
no actual squids in the game.
no.
Mm.
So I guess we should probably talk about what this week's show is about. And we're hoping the audio keeps running okay here. And we don't lose anything. But this show is essentially going to be about our first one covering the London Korean Film Festival, which is in its 16th year, and it's coming to London, of course.
Yeah, mainly central London, right?
Oh, yes, sorry, yes, mainly central London. Occasionally, they later on they tour it around the country, but I'm not sure what's happening this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're doing that this year or not. Mention that, but
No,
hopefully they will.
Yeah, that's right. So that's running from the 4th to the 9th, from the 4th November to the 19th, I believe.
Right.
We've had a press pass for it. I always cover it on my website, which is minimovie.com, and there'll be an article by the time this airs. There'll be an article on there that's just basically what this year's festival is covering and the different strands. They have.
Yeah.
I know you've looked at the strands they've got coming up, and they've got the special focus, which this year is a very, very deserved one. And you probably, I don't know if you want
the actress Yoon Yo-jung, who recently won an Academy Award, an Oscar for her performance in Minari.
That's right.
The Korean American film. So yeah, they're going to have a few of her films, going all the way back to her first film, Woman of Fire, from the 1970s, I believe it was.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it, and they've got their other strands, which they've got some old classics, as they always do, and some of those, of course, have got her in it.
Yeah, I think not as many as they sometimes do. Like a couple of years ago, it was mostly classics, right? This year is not as many classics.
No, you're right. I mean, yeah, I don't think so. And even like The Housemaid, it's not. It's because it's the one with her in it, Yoon Young. It's their remake by Im Sang-soo.
Yeah, it's the more recent one, yeah.
Yeah, and they have A Good Lawyer's Wife and a couple of other films. They've got their Cinema Now section, which is up to minute films, and also documentary strand. I always rave about this on my website, minimovie.com, but when a few years back, they didn't have these documentary strand or the women's voices strand, and I was really happy when they did, because it's something that's well overdue. And I've taken part in interviews relating to the people that have brought these films to us, and they're always great. It just, as I mentioned earlier, Kangyu Garam, or Garam Kangyu, she's got a film in this year's she's got a documentary in this year's lineup.
Oh, great.
And what's the name of that one? I'm trying to remember it now. Actually, let me just check. Well, they've also, by the way, I should just remember they also have the mise en scène, the
Yeah,
sword.
is that like short films?
Yeah, that's something they have done for many years.
Hmm.
In fact, once when I was in Seoul, um, I actually went to meet a friend. Actually, it's an actress, Kim Kobe, and
Hmm.
there was a film festival that was on, and it was the Mise en Scene Film Festival. So that's where that I believe
That's
that's
where
where
that comes from. Okay.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, but there's other films. It's the opening film is something quite it's quite well received. I think
Yeah,
it's
it was a very successful at the box office in Korea,
that's,
Mogadishu.
yeah, Escape from Mogadishu, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's by a famous action director.
Yes, we've actually interviewed him before, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ruslan One. Yeah,
Yes.
and he's yeah, that's the UK premiere, and that's the first film, and it
Yeah.
closes with a film which is quite different.
Yeah. Heaven, which I think recently screened at the Cannes Film Festival, I believe. Or was it the Venice Film Festival? I get confused all the time.
What was the name again? Just because I think I might have lost you then. What was the name of the film?
Heaven.
Oh, Heaven. I thought you said something
Yeah,
in heaven, so I thought I missed a bit. So apologies.
that's right.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to this film festival. I mean, I've only started to look through the films to see what I'm hoping to catch. Bear in mind, last year's was a mostly online event, and even though I covered it quite vastly on my website,
Mhm.
I haven't been to. I don't go to that many screenings, or especially not Korean films, but I do go to local cinemas. Um, Now that I've had COVID, I'm immune for a little while. Some people say.
Yeah, I hope
But
so.
that's still I'm not sure how often I'm going to venture into the city or up into central London to catch these films.
Well, it
But
may be the best time for you to go while you're immune, right?
maybe, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I say immune, but I'm only sort of messing around. Obviously,
Yeah.
not immune, but you do get like a pass because it means you are free to do stuff. But that doesn't change you. You still got to wear your mask and all that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about anything else, but by the way, we are going to cover this in other episodes. We're just kind of opening it up.
Yeah, for sure. And we plan to do some short reviews on the podcast of some of these films, either screeners that we watch or whether we go to the actual cinema to watch some of these films.
Yeah, and often,
Yes.
and the good thing about this film festival, they always have a few films at the KCC actually at that venue, and they're always free. So even people that are on a tight budget and they can't afford the screenings,
Yeah.
all of them, in this day and age, you can't always afford to do these things, and they always have some KCC. Plus, they'll have something online, I'm sure, and maybe some Zoom talks and all that. And Mark Morris is involved. I think he's curated it or helped curate it. And Darcy Paquet, he's the translator for
Parasite,
not
very
translator.
famous
Yeah,
translator,
yeah,
subtitler.
yeah. And of course, Anton Bitel is involved with the festival as well. So
Mhm.
similar usual suspects to previous or recent years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're looking forward to that. That's the big news of
Yeah, so we'll leave a link to the website maybe in the description as well, but it's at koreanfilm.co.uk.
That's right. There is a Korean film. You probably know this, but there is another Korean film website, which
Mhm.
is very similar, but it's Darcy's one, and that's Korean film. Is it
Yeah,
koreanfilm.org or is it Korean film?
yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first ever
Yeah,
web.
that's how I started getting into Korean cinema was through his website. That
Yeah,
was the only website I could find in English doing
yeah,
reviews of Korean films on a regular basis.
yeah. That's it. I think we even mentioned this when in the early episodes of this
Yeah.
podcast. We did mention how
Mhm.
we got into Korean. I'm pretty sure it was mentioned, and he he appears in films as well, as an extra, or sorry, not an
Yeah.
extra, cameo. I've met him before a couple of times in Seoul.
Yeah, we met him a couple of years ago when he was for the LKFF
Yeah, that's
in
right.
2019, right?
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, so that's what this that's what part of this week's episode was about and has been about. But the other part of this episode, if you're ready to go to that now, Tim, now you've had a little tip, is we're going to just touch on, we're going to end it in the same way, which is the news of any sort of news, local or world, or Korean related, of course. But we're also going to we mentioned that there's another festival that was a few weeks back, that we did a few interviews with people who were there. And we're going to we're going to end this show with basically an interview that we took from somebody there, which was a woman, Rachel, who works for Mind, who we mentioned last time. But Mind, it's not Mind, the charity, it's not Mind, it's Mind in Kingston, and they do specialize in devoting a lot of their time for Koreans and not just,
mental health in the Kingston community. Yes,
basically that. So, we had a really good chat with her. There's actually a video and we have a video and audio. So again, if you're not watching, if you're listening to this on another platform other than YouTube, then feel free to go over to the YouTube site. Links are always going to be in the description. So let's.
Should we also mention that the Kim Jong Festival is coming up as well?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, basically, there's another part of there's three, as we mentioned in other episodes. There's three things happening which are all run by the KBCE. That's the Korean British Cultural Exchange, and we've had the first one. The second one is kind of happening in October, which I'm not really involved with. It's K-pop. It's not something that I'm involved with. But the Kim Jong Festival.
I thought I saw you practicing your dance moves the other day. Wasn't that you?
No, I think that was a symptom of COVID. You get brain fog. You do all kinds of weird. So even Lalisa or whatever who's from Thailand. I'm quite interested in Thai culture as well. Even in fact, this is actually a shirt here, which is when the king passed away in Thailand. I'm just remembered that. Or was it when his birthday? I can't remember, but even that can't, sway me to get into the Blackpink stuff. But that's one, Justina and other people have been involved with, and Loco, that's the Korean K-pop sort of dance troupe or educators. They're involved in that October one. Yeah. So in November, we've got the Kim Jong Festival, as Tim just mentioned, and that's so
we will be sharing an interview that we did with the decorators who were also involved with the Kim Jong project.
That very strange day that we had, what we mentioned before, where we went to a very private place, took part in this event. We got filmed making kimchi, eating, going through the grounds of this beautiful house, and we're going to cover that in an episode. We were going to do it this week, but as we realized that, for a start, that has been a couple of weeks ago at least, but we've also got Kim Jong coming up, and seeing as they are tying this in with Kim Jong, we thought we would. So we thought we want to cover the London Korean Film Festival, because that's happening at the beginning of November, but we're going to cover that a few times. So let's go to the interview with Rachel.
And then maybe after the break, we can chat a little bit more about Squid Game if you want to stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right by me. So let's listen to what she has to say. It's this wonderful person, wonderful charity, Mind in Kingston. Mind in Kingston. Does it have Mind in every kind of big town? Is there a Mind for all of them, or is it just something that's set up for Kingston?
Yeah, so there's National Mind, as I mentioned, which is obviously the main hub, and they do a lot of campaigning work. There's a lot of information and resources on there, but there's also about 140 local minds. So it is a little bit of a postcode lottery, but we are the main local one for obviously New Malden and Kingston. I think our two other nearest ones are in Richmond and Croydon. What we say to people, if you're living, working, studying in Kingston, if we're your local mind, then we're here to support you.
Okay. Did you already? I mean, before you were with Mind, I don't know how long that's been, but maybe you could elaborate on that. But did you already have any sort of enthusiasm for Korean culture before, or is it something that came about because of all this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always loved travelling, and I've always wanted to travel to Korea. I haven't managed to get there yet, but I suppose actually from working for Mind in Kingston, I've been there for about 2 years, and just locally realising what a large population there is in New Malden and surrounding areas. And then I just started to look into, well, what mental health or well-being support is there for Korean speakers. And I actually found, I was quite shocked because there's really not much there at all. We obviously offer lots of different services to anyone who might be struggling or needs some support, but we weren't offering anything specifically for Korean speakers, you know. So that was kind of where I started to get quite passionate about it and want to be doing more in terms of mental health and well-being with the Korean community in our local community.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you consider that, you know, this is a Koreatown or whatever, but there's so many in other countries there's Koreatowns, but it's the largest one in Europe, so you'd think that there would be, there should be something like this already. So it was probably a bit of a surprise when there wasn't. I think you might have covered this, but
yeah, I mean, I know historically we have done a few bits and pieces as Mind in Kingston, but I think now, especially with the pandemic, you know, all of our services are even more in demand. We know that there's such a high need out there, and we have been speaking to Korean community members and different organisations and just asking them, you know, what support, what do you think is needed? A lot of people have told us, you know, that there is still some stigma around talking about mental health and mental illness, which of course there is in every community, but particularly that they would like support to just kind of start these conversations and also have more support available. So we've applied for funding. We've been successful in getting a grant, so that's what we're really kind of trying to do a lot more in this area.
Well, I wonder then if the mental illness, whether some of it gets connected to racism as well. I mean, because, you know, they have obviously not just Koreans, foreign people have to cope with it, but since COVID as well, you've had that. So do you get cases where they're struggling because of that or other issues? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, racial trauma, or, you know, racism, of course, any kind of discrimination or mistreatment like that, of course, is going to affect your mental health, and I think we need to acknowledge that more and be talking about that more. And as you said, obviously with COVID, there's been a rise in hate crimes and things like that, which is just horrendous, and so we definitely, that is part of it, that obviously that having experienced discrimination like that would affect your mental health. But also it's just the general stresses of life, you know. All of us have mental health, and sometimes some of us struggle, and, you know, depression, anxiety, these things are kind of on the rise. So it's just looking at how do we cope with that, and how do we find kind of healthy ways of coping with it, and who can we turn to for support when we feel like that, and that's what we want to be, a place where people can turn to for support.
Okay, I'll turn to something lighter in a minute, but just sorry. Well, it's what you do, so.
Happy to talk
so basically, I was going to say because this is technically, and not just here, Worcester Park and other areas in Kingston itself. Yeah. You've got Koreans living together with British people and Filipinos and Indian. And I wonder, you know, maybe there's less racism here because they are trying to gel together, whether if they go to London and experience it, central London, or even go to a smaller town. So I wonder how much, I'm drifting on to racialness here, but racism, but I'm wondering whether mental health is worse in a town where they've grown up, or whether it's Koreans that are just visiting, you know, for a couple of years. But I don't know. But that's just me saying, okay, I'll turn to something light.
No, but that is interesting, and I think that's the kind of thing. Those are the kind of questions we maybe need to be asking more, and you know, saying what are the issues that people are being affected, you know, are affected by, and what do they need support with. I mean, a lot of people talk to us about, you know, it's the general thing of self-esteem, you know, depression, low mood, stress, but absolutely, you know, we can't deny that racial trauma and those experiences are very real. Yeah.
Well, I also, sorry, another question has come to me, but I wonder if, because they can be, especially the North, because there's a lot of North Koreans here as well, they can be keeping themselves to themselves, like if we're quite shy. Even the South Koreans can be quite shy. So I wonder if that, you know, even getting into their mind or into their homes, you know, I wonder how tricky that is compared to, let's just say, a British person like me. I wonder.
I think you've hit the nail on the head in that isolation. You know, people, especially obviously with the year we've had as well, that's only been exacerbated. Like loneliness, isolation, these things, you know, are really serious, and they can actually be life-threatening, you know, because they're, you know, none of us are meant to be alone, completely alone and isolated. So, and of course that can affect particular communities, and more so if the services that maybe as a British person we kind of take for granted we'd be able to access, you know, if those services aren't accessible to everyone, you know, they're not reaching out to everyone, then that's even one less avenue of support and one less way of, you know, finding that help. So yeah, I think that's something that we can all be doing more and need to be doing more. And with our new project, the Magpie project, it will be about offering one-to-one support, group support for people in the Korean community, but also we want to be advocating for better accessibility, more translated mental health resources, just more support in general, really.
That's good. I mean, I just a point. I'm going to ask you about the festival in a second. Sorry, I know you're meant to be doing your job here.
No, I'm good. It's good to talk to people.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, if anything, yeah, it's good for your mental health.
Yeah, absolutely, always.
But yeah, because there's also up the road there's Oxygen. It's like a charity. It's not like a chain. I guess what I'm trying to say is they help apparently with knife crime and stuff. People that are people suffering from that or trying to stop it. But the thing is, at least with your charity, you're focusing on this, whereas some other charities they might be, but you don't see it. I mean, maybe you see a lot of people obviously asking for money, but you're out and about actually wanting to, you're getting support.
Yeah.
Oh, you've actually got the Korean words. Yeah, I've just seen that. Sorry.
We've been doing this campaign today. So obviously this translates as what's your own kind of healing? What do you do to support yourself? So this is us minding Kingston. This is the new project, the Magpie project that we're running. This translates as your mind matters.
Yeah.
So we've just been inviting people to kind of write something on here that so people have been writing, cooking,
we're hiring,
cooking, dancing, whatever helps. We've also been.
Oh, so this is all you as well. Right, okay.
So we've just been asking people to share a message to someone who might be feeling alone.
And these are mostly Koreans?
Yeah, so it's a mix of Korean and English.
Yeah.
There's actually some very sweet ones from. I don't want to.
That's good. That's good. That one. Breathe. Nothing is perfect. Tomorrow.
Yeah, nothing is permanent.
Permanent, not perfect.
So we had some very sweet ones from some children as well.
Oh yeah, Korean children.
Yeah. Make them laugh.
Oh, you're hiding the cakes here.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I'm
sorry. That's my 5th day without sugar, so I'm not going to have the cakes behind you. But one. Oh yeah.
No. Go ahead. We sort of stretch around here, so do have a look around.
Well, one thing is because this is now this year it's in.
I knew that was going to happen.
It's the wind.
You can edit that bit out.
Yeah, we do. Don't worry. Well, it's going to be we're doing audio as well as video, but yeah, don't worry.
A big
Sorry.
thud.
Yeah, no.
Thank you, Pinky. Thank you. I knew that was going to happen.
We might edit out, might not. Just but it's okay.
Real,
but again,
behind the scenes, real life.
We're doing it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, BTS, but not that kind of BTS.
Yeah.
Back behind the scenes. But basically, all I was going to ask about the festival was, it's in New Malden this year. It's different from other years. And so, were you there last year? And do you think it's a great idea having it here?
Yeah.
This festival as opposed to in Kingston?
Yeah. So obviously last year I don't think it was able to go ahead.
The year before.
Yeah, so I sort of moved locally a couple of years ago, so this is my first festival, so not having seen it before, I just think it's brilliant. I'm really loving it. I have been here on the stall most of the day, but we managed to get up and see some of the taekwondo and things like that, which was
with the handicap people.
Yeah, it was fantastic, really brilliant, inclusive, and so loved that. And but yeah, I think hopefully next year I'll rope in some more staff and my colleagues, and then I can have a look at what's going on.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. First of all, thanks for following us on Instagram, and thanks for your time. I really, what you're doing seems amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this existed.
Well,
so
I mean, that's the whole point of being here, to kind of get the word out.
And if someone like me or somebody wanted to join in with you, I mean, obviously you said about volunteers, but you're mainly looking for Korean. Do you want non-Koreans as well?
So our the services we run a whole host of different services. So we have counselling, art therapy, physical activities. We do weekly well-being walks. We have a football team. There's a lot going on. So have a look on our website, Mind in Kingston. We're on social media.
Getting involved. I mean, even if it's voluntary, maybe one day a week or something.
Absolutely, yeah. We're always looking for kind of help and new ideas of things we can explore and do. We have a podcast as well.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'll send you that.
Just Kingston.
Mind in Kingston.
Okay,
Yeah. So we're so I think a lot of people don't know we're independent from National Mind. So all of our fundraising and our services are focused on local people and goes to developing the services that people need locally.
Right, thanks. I'll do it properly this time. Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Really good talking to you.
No worries, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure. Thank you for stopping.
That's right, thanks, bye.
So we hope you enjoyed that. That was Rachel. The details of Mind in Kingston will be in the description. And so we're going to kind of close the show, or run to its close, with just a bit of information, a bit of news that's been going on, Korean related in the world or in New Malden. And this particular bit of news is something you've probably heard of, and it's very famous.
If you haven't heard of it, you've been stuck inside your own Squid Game.
Yeah, maybe you're actually doing it reality.
Mm-hmm.
So Tim's going to talk a little bit about that. I will mention what I know.
Yeah, so Jason, you haven't actually watched the show yet, correct?
Well, that's what I was going to mention. Basically, when I was at my sister's, poorly and stuck there, isolating and stranded and grieving and everything. Yeah. But they did
probably not the best kind of show to watch while you're grieving. But
no, well, I'm going to be grieving a while. But yeah, you're right. So Squid Game, they wanted to play it because everyone was talking about it, and of course they wanted the English dub. And for a start, I like to watch something on my own, not in a kind of view with people. I don't know what it is. It's just me. So I'd rather get into it myself rather than. And I'm sure there'll be interruptions. We are talking a household with children, or just general interruptions. And I just wanted to, the children didn't watch it, by the way.
No, definitely not for kids.
So they played it, and I was watching, but I wasn't really paying attention. I just thought, I'm going to watch this another time on my own in Korean, with the subtitles, which is the proper way to watch it, some would say, but I'm not going to make any qualms if people do. It's up to them how they watch it.
Yeah, as Bong Joon-ho would say, you just need to get over that 1-inch barrier.
Yeah. So what do you think about it then, Tim? Obviously, try to.
What have you actually heard about it so far? Having not seen it, but you must know something about it. Right?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I know it's based around a game, and it's based around, it's obviously about wealth and inequality. It's about people struggling with debt, and so they're given this chance. They're given this opportunity to get things sorted out, or to get rid even. So I know what everyone else pretty much knows about it. So what's your first thoughts? And we can have a whole show dedicated to it if you want. But I know you wanted to cover just a bit, and it is news that we need to is worthy. So what did you think?
Yeah, I mean it's incredibly violent and brutal to start with, but and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get past that. I wouldn't be able to see past the brutality of it. But I mean, the fact is that the world is quite brutal at times, and the world that these characters are living in is very brutal in the real world, so to speak. Within the series,
Yeah.
um, in the fact that they're so heavily in debt that there's no way out except to play this survival game to the death, literally.
Yeah.
Um, and so they actually feel like that's a better option for them than maybe committing suicide or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad and desperate circumstances, but the characters are all really interesting. You really care about them. You want them to survive. You're hoping they will, but obviously not everybody can, because based on the rules of the game, most of the people are going to die.
Yes, from what I know.
So it's really nerve-wracking and suspenseful and all that, but it's quite emotional once
Yeah.
you get into it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But really interesting. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it comments on society in Korea, especially capitalist consumer society, and the debt issues that they have over there. And these are things that are resonating with people everywhere, not just in Korea.
Yeah.
But especially in Korea. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing that I didn't quite like that I've heard it's violent. It's just that Korean, as we've spoken about before, Korean films, and I know it's not film, do get a reputation. I mean, there's so many other things that aren't violent, and it is a shame that it's violent one that's become popular again. It's Korean cultures. So we're going to have what we had with Old Boy before, people saying, "Oh, it's terribly violent."
Yeah, there will be a stereotype that everything in Korea is very extreme and over the top. And
yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's not the first thing on Netflix. That Netflix is Korean, and there have been, I guess, violent ones.
And there's tons of other dramas on Netflix, Korean dramas that are not as violent as this.
That's
so
right.
Hopefully some people will look towards other dramas after they watch this and find out, okay, it's not all like that.
That's right, yeah. But we'll have a whole episode about Squid Game. We might even get someone on to talk about it.
More of an expert who could inform us about it.
We've got people in mind, but we're not going to mention them. And we also did mention that, it is very good. It is very stylish. It's not 100% original. You've got the Hunger Games, which are very similar kind of ideas. Again, I'm not a big fan, not a kind of a follower of that. But but I understand why it's become popular.
I mean, some people are saying that it is actually inspired by Korean cinema more than it is by Korean dramas. Which
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that, and even in the color, they're very good with.
The design of it is incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cool. Well, I think that's pretty much it. We've used up quite a lot of time this week, even though we've been talking about the festival and all that other stuff. But we've also, myself and Tim, had a lot to talk about, and we've probably got loads. We are thinking of doing bonus shows where we do talk about other stuff that we don't get a chance to on the show. So if you're interested in that, then please let us know. We've spoken about that in another episode as well. But of course, we are going to play out, as we normally do, with people we featured in last week's show, which is Kaya, and that's from their, basically the same music we've been using, which is the New Ararang, version of New Ararang by Kaya from their album Korean Breeze. And I guess that just leaves us to say goodbye.
And Yongi.
Yes, they are. This is a charity shop in town.
That's true. Yeah. Well, so there's mine. national mind.
Yeah,
There's a lot of campaigning around mental health, but there's also lots of local minds.
Yeah.
So we are the local mind for Kingston upon Thames.
Okay.
So we are based in Kingston, but we support people from all the surrounding areas.
Yeah, because things not picking up your
Yeah.
So,
I literally followed you guys last night, but I was like, I need to listen.
but
To
you
your
actually,
podcast.
that's why I have questions, because I was going to ask how you, how you, obviously.